Hai Jared, terima kasih kerana bersama kami di Astro AWANI. Pertama sekali, COVID-19 tentunya mewujudkan banyak cabaran dari segi cara kerja, dari segi sosial dan juga keperluan pengguna serta banyak teknologi baru. Jadi bagi Finology, apakah cabaran utama syarikat seperti Finology untuk beroperasi pada tempoh COVID-19 ini?
So during this COVID period, it's been a lot more difficult for us to work together as a group because we can't come in and go from the office as and when we please. So while there are a lot of conveniences, as a digital company, we can work from home, do programming, do a lot of work digitally, but we trade off a lot of interaction with our colleagues, brainstorming suffers, and even our employees' mental health. It's difficult to keep up the motivation when you're isolated alone for long periods of time. So this is a challenge that I believe not just Finology faces, but many other companies do. We are very lucky because as a digital company, our work and most of our work is on the web, digital, so that is not so much affected, but still it's difficult to keep the camaraderie and the motivation going.
Pada ketika tempoh pandemik ini, syarikat teknologi mendapat banyak permintaan untuk perkhidmatan mereka, untuk contohnya mengadakan mesyuarat di atas talian, untuk melakukan pembayaran pembelian di atas talian. Bagaimana itu dengan Finology dan apakah yang Finology saksikan? Adakah permintaan untuk perkhidmatan yang Finology berikan juga meningkat pada tempoh pandemik ini?
Yes, there was a lot of increase in relation to especially motorcycle and car insurance renewals online, because during the MCO period, a lot of renewals, JPJ renewals, a lot of insurance renewals cannot be done at post office or at JPJ counters. It's limited number of counters. So a lot of the demand moved online into loanstreet.com.my. Additionally, also we of course move internally. We handle a lot of mortgages. During the mortgage period, mortgages were very quiet, very quiet. Banks were not approving anything. Property developers were not selling any homes. So there's a trade-off. On some parts there was a very much increase, on some parts decrease. But on the banks and insurers side, they have started looking more seriously into digital transformation, which is what Finology is about. We help banks and we help insurance, we help the financial services industry transform digitally so that they too can offer their services online.
Bagaimana bantuan tersebut, bagaimana sokongan tersebut untuk mereka mentransformasikan operasi mereka? Bagaimana Finology membantu bank tersebut contohnya?
So, as you know, a lot of banks have designed their processes around legacy infrastructure. Their systems are many years old, and they themselves are looking to change, because if you're anchored down by legacy systems, your processes will also naturally be offline, and it is very expensive and very complicated to move. So what we have in Finology is we have systems that allow banks and insurers to basically move a lot of their decision-making processes onto a platform that can be providing instant approvals, instant price quotations, risk evaluations for loan products, for insurance products. And we've also made these services available to the public fully digitally, so that you don't really need to fill up a paper form, you don't really need to walk into a bank. And for it to work, the banks and insurers must first be on these platforms. So with the pandemic, with the MCO, banks have, and the financial services industry, they have now started taking the first steps and looking at this very seriously. And Finology as a technology provider, as a homegrown, made in Malaysia provider, we have the capability and the experience to help them transition to the digital age.
Bagi pengguna pula, apa trend yang Jared dan juga pasukan Jared dapat saksikan dari segi keinginan pengguna untuk mengakses maklumat berkenaan dengan kewangan, untuk mendapatkan perkhidmatan kewangan di atas talian? Adakah ia juga meningkat untuk semua pengguna ataupun ada pengguna, sesetengah kumpulan pengguna sahaja?
Definitely result. Actually, yes, sesetengah pengguna. But you can see that number of inquiries, the number of people that come online looking for information first has grown more than fivefold over the last 2 years. I can tell you that very frankly, looking and seeing the numbers. Because if you think about it, when you used to go to work, you drive a car, you listen to radio, you go to office, you meet, you see people, right? Now, where are you going to find your information? Before that, you still get to talk to people, meet a banker, go to the bank branch and ask your questions. Now, where do you go? Do you still meet your insurance agent? You don't. You don't even have counter service. So a lot of people have transitioned then from their phones. They've totally skipped the laptop, totally skipped the desktop. They move to their phones to do a Google search first. Or they see maybe something on Facebook or something on TikTok even, and then it triggers them and then they go online because it's so convenient, right? And then from there they start their journey. Sadly though, while a majority of users, except maybe for the very old, right? They have transitioned to online first in seeking their information. The journey stops there because they then cannot move on to the next step. The next step is still somewhat
Takut ke? Ada takut ke? Ada risau ke macam mana?
It's not takut or risau. It's not kerisauan of the pengguna. It is more that the banking and the financial services industry have not been able to meet them digitally. Everything falls into an offline process. It becomes a drop the lead, we will call you, or drop the lead, we will, when our branch is open again, we will send our salesperson to meet with you. So it's, or walk into a branch. And because banks have or the services industry has always been so reliant on people coming to branch or seeing a salesperson, today when they go online and they drop an inquiry, banks are suddenly like, okay, what do we do? How can we make it fully digital? And they find that they are stuck. And that is why you're right. Majority of users have gone online first in search of information, but they still have difficulty completing the journey entirely. And if you ask them, they will say, if I can complete the journey digitally entirely, they would. How many of you have e-wallets today?
I'm sure quite a lot, right? I mean, I have a few. I'm sure you have a few.
A few, right?
Yeah.
And how many times have you put your IC through the e-wallet process?
Every time I register?
Every time.
Yeah.
So, and you know they did the Penjana thing through the e-wallets? It
Yes,
means
yes,
that
yes.
majority of Malaysians have the e-wallets because they wanted to receive some money, right? What does that tell you?
People can actually do it. People are okay. They need motivation to do it, perhaps.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Rizal. You're right. You just answered your own question.
Yeah.
Users, pengguna are already. But the traditional financial services industry is just starting to wake up to this.
But untuk syarikat-syarikat seperti Finology, apakah penambahbaikan yang dilakukan ketika tahun 2020 dan juga tahun 2021 ini? Adakah penambahbaikan dilakukan untuk memastikan pengguna tersebut mendapat akses kepada maklumat yang mereka inginkan, perkhidmatan mereka inginkan? Adakah penambahbaikan dibuat pada tempoh ini?
Yes, definitely a lot. So I'll give you an example. Just now I gave you we mentioned e-wallets where you could do the onboarding fully digitally.
Yeah.
You never have to walk to a branch, you never have to fill in a form.
Yeah.
I ask you today, when you try to get an approval for your home loan, do you think you can do that?
I don't think so. I think you still have to go to the branches, right?
You still have to, right?
Yeah.
Well, the good news is, and it's also the flip side. The flip side of it is that because the banking industry is now only waking up to it, they are not yet fully ready. But in 2020 and 2021, Finology, our company, has made it possible for people to snap your ICs, fill in a few details fully on your phone, don't even have to download an app, and then you can get a pre-approval from 3 different banks for your housing loan. We've done this with property developers like UEM, like Tropicana, and so right now all these clients, they are using our capability that we have developed over 2020 and 2021 to get loan pre-approvals for their customers. Another example is motor insurances. In the past, you always had to go and fill in forms and do. So maybe you could do it on MyAG, correct? But what about motorcycle insurance? Do you have MyAG for it?
We don't?
Well, maybe they do now.
Okay.
Yeah, the industry is slowly changing. Right?
Yeah.
In the last 1 year, the insurance industry is like, boom, they are running towards digitalization. But before that, you couldn't. And Finology, when we saw this, I ride a motorcycle. I had trouble renewing my road tax for many years. Always had to go to the post office, take a number and queue up. That's the only way. Not that I didn't want to do it. So if you go to MyG, you couldn't find it. So what we decided was, okay, if nobody's going to do it, we'll be the first to make it happen in Malaysia. And so 2018, 2019, we did it. We made road tax renewals online. We made the price quotations for motorcycles, everything fully online, and you can transact online. The first company I did it with was with Zurich, Malaysia. So they put their trust in us. We brought it online and it started taking off. And you think about it, who is riding motorcycles? Mostly B40, correct? How much is the road tax for under 150cc? Do you know, Riza?
I don't.
No worries.
Yeah.
It's only 2 ringgit. But for me, to renew my Kapchai road tax, I cannot go to MyAG and do it. I have to take time out, half day, go to the post office or go to JPJ, press number and wait. And many times you go there, they say, sorry, service offline.
So you've taken to solve that problem, that challenge?
And we solved it in time for MCO. And that is why today you can do motorcycle road tax and insurance renewals fully online on loanstreet.com.my.
Dua pattern yang dipegang oleh Finology dan juga capaian perkhidmatan untuk di 4 negara. Apakah cerita tersebut? Mungkin boleh ceritakan, Jared boleh ceritakan tentang 2 pattern tersebut dan juga cabaran untuk beroperasi di 4 negara ini ataupun kelebihan yang Finology ada untuk beroperasi di 4 negara ini.
So, we have one patent that we filed, and we got our first patent, I think, in 2018. It is for a way to instantly evaluate a particular person's credit risk and to price it, to give you a loan approval basically, instantly from many different banks, but only going through one application process. So instead of going to, for example, going to Bank A, filling in the form, Bank B, filling in the form, Bank C, filling in the form and giving 3 sets of documents, you only had to do it one time, digitally, and then within, you can say it's almost instant, you get approvals or pre-approvals from these different banks. So that was the first engine that we did, and we got a patent. The first patent was granted by Australia, and the second patent was in Malaysia in 2020. So today we are operating it, we mentioned we're doing it with Tropicana, with UEM, and we will continually be working on this now. We also took the same concept that we did with the mortgage and the loans industry. We applied it to insurances, where we make many different insurers pricing, because pricing and risk is a very complicated subject. We are able to put it all into a single platform, so that when you come in and you only provide, for example, the data points about you are always the same, right? You provide it one time, we are then able to provide you the pricing and the quotations from every insurer. And we offer it as a service, so that you can access it via, for example, our website. You can access it via another third-party website, or we've done it on an e-kiosk in 250 locations in Malaysia with partners. And so everything that we do, our patents, is made in Malaysia, fully developed, 100% owned in Malaysia. MTDC is one of our supporters. We got our patents, and now the same technologies are used in 4 countries. 5 actually, if you count Nepal.
Okay, ceritakan tentang Seedstar World Regional Finals Asia. Saya tahu Finology telah lepas ke peringkat ataupun telah lepas peringkat Asia, kan?
Yes.
Okay, apa yang akan berlaku selepas itu?
So just backtrack a little bit. Seedstars is a worldwide competition to find the best global startups for a particular year. So we participated in 2020. It is almost a 9-10 months program. We go to classes, we go for mentoring sessions, and then we go and pitch. So we pitched in Malaysia against a number of other Malaysian companies. We won the local chapter sometime in maybe August or September last year. Then we went on to the Asia stage. So there are only 5 regions under Seedstars: Asia, Africa, Middle East, Central East Europe, and Latin America. So we, of course, were in the Asia stage. There were about 1,000 other companies that we were going up against. Went through the semi-finals, went through the finals. Again, it was a process. There were a lot of judges, different criteria. Last week, we were announced as the winners of Asia, and we will be representing Asia, the best of what Asia has to offer, on the global stage against the best of the 4 other regions. So we're still going through it. There will be 1 or 2 more rounds of pitching and judging. And 20th May, feel free to tune in. There will be a live broadcast event of the finals, the global finals. And hopefully we make Malaysia proud.
Semoga berjaya dan juga semoga mendapat kejayaan di situ. Bagi Finology sepanjang tempoh yang mencabar bagi orang di luar sana, tak daripada tahun 2020 Mac sehingga kepada Mac tahun 2021, apakah pengajaran yang terbesar yang Finology belajar daripada tempoh tersebut setahun?
I will say the biggest lesson, not just during the pandemic, but also what I found to be true throughout our journey of entrepreneurship, is that if you want to go fast, you can go alone. But if you want to go far, you want to ride out the rough times, you're going to need people around you, and you need to go together with a team. So the team is very, very important to bring each other through the really tough times. And we had really tough times throughout the MCO. It wasn't easy for us when business, like for mortgages, dropped to 0 overnight. So, but I'm very thankful for having a really good team around us, around myself, and a very good partner.
Tell me about your team. Tell me more about your team.
So our team is 35 strong. We're a small local company, right? Very diverse. We've got I think 7 or 8 different race and nationality within the company itself. So we have got, of course, your Malays, Chinese, Indian. We've got Iban. We've got Kadazans. We've got Pakistanis, Indians from India. We've got I think Korean, Uzbeki. We have Iranians. We have Syrians.
And it's important to you to have these people from these different backgrounds.
Very important, because we find that if, for example, our company was only purely a particular homogeneous culture and race, the viewpoints, to be honest, can be quite narrow, and you only see things from one perspective, one worldview, one angle, right? But with the diverse kind of culture and mix that we have, we're pretty relaxed over here. We share each other's festivals. We learn about each other's cultures. Pre-COVID, we were a lot tighter, of course. Then we sometimes found that, hey, actually, maybe what I think, or the way I think, is a very maybe a middle-class Chinese way of thinking. But actually, for the rest of the society, it's not like that. For example, you say, you want to do motorcycle, just go by AG lah. And actually, most of them, they don't say it, but there is no such option for them. Correct? Or, for example, if you left it to bosses and you ask them, you want to do mortgage, just tell the bank, they will send a salesperson to come and look for you. But it's not true. For people buying PPR, for people buying the KBKT projects under 200,000, which salesperson wants to come and service you? Then their experience is very different. Or, for example, we say everybody can open a bank account, just open a bank account with bank in. But actually, some of our colleagues over here, growing up, they didn't have access to bank accounts, so they were actually unbanked. And some of the, we have 1 or 2 refugees, or at least come from more difficult nations. They also have problems opening bank accounts, and it's not so simple. Life is not so simple for them, because finance is not so inclusive. And if I were to take my own experience involved and think that that's how it is for everybody, we will miss out a lot of this insights.
Adakah itu tujuan utama syarikat yang ditubuhkan untuk menjadikan perkhidmatan kewangan tersebut lebih inklusif, lebih tersedia untuk semua lapisan masyarakat? Adakah itu tujuan utama?
Yes. I'll tell you my own personal story. I come from a very, very normal background. My family is a very we are working class. When I was growing up, we had difficulties with money. And it culminated in 2009 when we used to have our own house, but the banks were coming for the house. So there were problems with payments, right, from some poor financial decisions within the family. Not so well versed, right? So I told my mom, don't worry, mom, I'm going to buy a house. We don't have a rent. We don't want to rent. I'll go and try and buy a place before that. So that was my first time. I was maybe 25. I was 25 then. And that was back in 2009. The first thing I do is go to Google, but I couldn't find a lot of information. There's scattered information on maybe on CIMB's website a little bit, Maybank's website a little bit, and I thought like, wow, this is difficult. And I'm not from the finance world. So what happened is I eventually paid a broker to get a housing loan for us to buy an apartment for us to move into, right, before the bank comes for a house. And I thought to myself, you know what, how good would it be if somebody could put all this information into one place? In 2010, that was exactly what I did. Started a blog to talk about housing loan products. What is it? It's basically my learning process. I'm putting it and then start talking about bankruptcy, how to negotiate, how to deal with it, how do you live within your means, how do you not get into debt. And that was how I started loanstreet.com.my. So that journey became the driving motivation for us to go into this. And in Loan Street, it was a long journey. And the challenges that I saw when running Loan Street was that a lot of leads, as I told you, a lot of inquiries can come online, right? But when the financial industry does not meet you halfway, it just becomes an inquiry online that still falls into an offline process. So all you do is you become a lead gen. No different from Google Ads or Facebook to the industry, correct? And even for us, we cannot provide full value of service to our customers. So that was why I, together with my partner and team, from the old Loan Street team, we started Finology. Because we wanted to make sure it is vertically aligned, endless, seamless process. Doesn't matter how, you want to finish the moment you inquire and search information to the moment you get the product, it has to be a seamless experience. We don't want to go offline into something else. But you cannot clap in one hand, you need dua belah tangan to clap. And the pandemic, COVID, has made the financial service industry more willing to meet us. And hopefully that will be the impetus, and that will be the win in our mission to make finance more accessible. If you look at our tagline, Finology's tagline, it is enabling seamless access to financial products. So our colleagues from East Malaysia who used to have problems even getting a bank account, our friends from Iran and Syria who until today still have difficulties with bank account, some of them have never, until today, they maybe don't have credit cards. Those who used to have to take half day from our team to want to go to a post office to renew their motorcycle road tax, myself included. Yeah, those are all the problems we solve. The loan, the mortgage loan that I first started with, the bankruptcy issues that our family had to go through, those are all the people that I started out thinking about when I was establishing this company. And today we serve a lot more, of course. So if you look at all the markets we're in Nepal, we're in Pakistan, we're in Cambodia, we're in Indonesia. These are not developed countries.
Bagaimana MTDC membantu Finology?
MTDC has helped a whole lot. As I shared our story, I started first with loanstreet.com.my. So in 2016, 2017, we knew we wanted to move into enabling seamless access, not just the online funnel marketing portion, right? So what we did was we had to raise money to buy out Loan Street from the old shareholders, and then once we did that, like, okay, what are we going to do? So that is where we shared our mission and our journey of MTDC started. We told them we have this system, we have this idea, and we have this engine that we have filed for patents already in 2017. So would you be willing to put support behind us to go through this journey? And we were very lucky, bersyukur, right? They did. And so it's been a 4-year journey. Nothing would have happened without them. And as you know, the kind of infrastructure and support they provide us, like this interview, it's also all MTDC.
Terakhir sekali Jared, bagaimana Jared mengukur kejayaan sebuah organisasi tersebut? Apakah kejayaan bagi Finology? Saya tahu sasarannya adalah untuk memastikan bahawa semua orang ada akses kepada perkhidmatan kewangan yang lebih baik, seamless. Apakah kejayaan tersebut di mata Jared?
In my eyes, what makes a successful organization? I believe in balance or in sustainability. Now, some people might think that it's all about squeezing and getting maximal profit for shareholders. I think shareholders are important, definitely. But I also believe that it is not just the shareholders who are stakeholders of a company or an organization. The stakeholders of an organization are your shareholders, who must be taken care of, your staff, who must be taken care of, your clients and customers, as well as your vendors. They all, when you come together, if you are what I call a net positive to society, that is what you want your organization to be, a net positive to society. It cannot be where for example, you generate value, right? That's how people measure. You generate value, and it is all then taken by only one stakeholder. And maybe the rest of the stakeholders are left holding the ball, or they're squeezed too much. Or the organization also cannot be taking or generating value, where they take everything, but finally it is a net negative effect to the society. For example, if we as a company, if we sold too much high interest loans, if we promoted too much of all these, I would feel a bit sad, because we would be in between trying to make profits, but at the same time we know I'm selling maybe something, I'm pushing a loan to someone who wants to fund a lifestyle and it shouldn't be. Instead, what we should be doing is we should be advising them away from it. So I believe in a little bit of balance and always thinking about that. And if the organization has institutionalized this understanding, I think that is a successful organization in my eyes. Which means even the lowest person versus the highest paid person, if that difference is, the jurang cannot be so high that how is this guy going to survive, whereas this guy is having enough to buy a house every year, then I feel something is off balance and not great. So if we can institutionalize this kind of thinking into our organization, I think that is the biggest measure of success in my book.
On that note, we thank you very much, Jared, for joining us. Terima kasih, Jared. Lampu yang mati itu bukan untuk makan perbincangan, tapi kita telah dapat maklumat yang kami inginkan daripada Jared dan juga Finology. Terima kasih, Jared.
Thank you, Rizal.
Thank you.